This little elephant kept crying on the ground motionless. What his mother did shocked the world. There was an elephant enclosure with several large Indian elephants. The enclosure itself was spacious and provided plenty of room for the elephants to roam and play. Two of the animals they had were a large female named Gina and her male partner Makong. The two had fallen in love instantly since they first met, and it wasn't long before Gina got pregnant. Zoo staff were overjoyed to welcome a baby elephant to their facility. The pregnancy was supposed to last 2 full years, but in reality that time flew by. Soon after, Gina gave birth to a male whose name was Max. Some people called Max the miracle elephant, because he was the first of his kind ever conceived and born in Canada. There have been 8 elephants since the zoo opened, but none of them had ever given birth to a child. Until now, this was a major step in their efforts to conserve the Indian elephant population. His birth meant that the herd felt comfortable and safe at the zoo, and that the environment reminded the elephants of their homeland. Unfortunately, their natural habitat is being destroyed faster and faster, and without the help of zoos like the one in Prague, the elephants would most likely be on the verge of extinction. Max was adorable and very popular, not only with the keepers but also with the visitors. The cute little elephant ran after his mother, played at the water hole, and rolled in the mud. It was like Max was more of a dog than an elephant. Often he would get to the glass separating the visitors from the animals and would tap it playfully with his little trunk. Like all children of a species, Max was curious and playful. Not only did he enjoy running around and using up his young elephant energy, but he also enjoyed exploring and discovering new things. From the moment he woke up in the morning to the second before he fell asleep, Max was constantly on the go. And that pleased the keepers, because that way they could be sure that he was fit and healthy. Elephants are usually calm creatures. Max brought a breath of fresh air and variety to the enclosure. Time passed and Max seemed to settle in well. But one day something very unusual happened. At first no one thought anything of it. Maybe he was just tired. But after a while the motionless infant attracted a great deal of attention. And of course nobody was more worried than the elephant cow, Gina. She slowly walked over to check on Max, a nervous look in her eyes as she did so. She was a very caring mother, and since this was her first child, she was extra careful with her son. The longer Max stayed grounded, the more people got worried. The usually chatty crowd of visitors watching the elephants fell silent and waited for Max to get up again, but he lay completely motionless. They watched as Gina nudged him with her trunk and foot as if to wake him up. The mother became even more restless when Max started twitching on the floor. She started circling her son. It was clear that Gina wanted to help her baby, but there seemed to be nothing she could do about it. Even Makong, Max's father, stayed at a distance and didn't seem to want to get involved in all the commotion. They all just stood there and watched from a distance. No one approached to help or see what the problem was. They just waited and patiently watched the mother elephant's reaction. The zookeepers found this behavior very strange, as elephants usually help and protect each other. Normally, in such an emergency as Gina was evident, the rest of the herd would rush in and try to help in any way they could, because elephants are more emotional and social than almost any other animal. Gina nudged her child again to get it up and to stand. But nothing seemed to help. She squeezed him harder and more aggressively, but Max just flinched and stayed still as a rock. All sorts of things went through the minds of the zookeepers. Maybe Max got dehydrated and collapsed after hours of playing in the sun. Perhaps he was injured and unable to walk, or was weakened by an illness. They just didn't know. But what happened next stunned everyone and made them gape in shock. Gina turned away from her son and looked into the crowd, in which some animal keepers were also watching with great concern. She raised her trunk and started waving, as if to get the zookeepers' attention. Maybe they would be able to help poor Max. Everyone was shocked and amazed by their behavior in seeking people's help. Many of the other elephants were at a safe distance, and even Gina backed away as the staff approached Max, who was still twitching on the floor. The mother animal watched them with pleading eyes and hoped that they could help him. Things really didn't look good for her son. The keepers tried to nudge Max to make him move and maybe get up, but it didn't work. They tried even more pressure to see if it made a difference and they could get a reaction, but it seemed their efforts had been in vain. But just when it looked the darkest, big smiles broke out on the faces of the zookeepers. And they breathed a sigh of relief when Max got up and walked around and played as if nothing had happened. Apparently, the little elephant just needed a nap and had quickly fallen into a deep slumber from which he could not be awakened. Not even from his mother. Only the efforts of the staff shook him awake. Suddenly, the disinterest of the rest of the herd was evident. The other elephants immediately saw through Max's strange behavior and supported. Gina, by staying calm and relaxed, the young mother was overjoyed and lovingly caressed her son with her trunk. And before the employees left, she waved her trunk at them in thanks. Even if it was just a harmless reason why Max didn't move, she was still grateful for their help.